Hi there, everyone. My name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to my album reviews. If you are one of my regular viewers, then you know that I just recently went through a Guns N' Roses run. I had no intentions of actually reviewing this next album until I was going through picking out what albums I was going to record at this moment. It's on my list of ones to review. It was weird timing the way it worked out. And I picked it because a lot of the albums that were currently on my CD list were really kind of dark and bringing me down. And I wanted something a little more lively with a little more energy so I could really kind of get up and want to move. And to me, Slash's debut album here, self-titled debut album, was the way to go. One of the things I love is when musicians get together and they work together and they, work with different musicians to create different songs, different sounds, stuff like that. I really loved when Iommi did it on his first self-titled album. I haven't gone back for any of his other ones, and I really should get to them. This one, though, this one here was really cool because, first off, you got Slash, who is one hell of a wonderful rock and roll guitarist. You can say what you want, but he is a great rock and roll guitarist. And he's got a good band supporting him on here. And I know the band kind of switches up a little bit from song to song. So that's why I really can't get too much into the whole thing. But basically, you got Josh Freese on drums, except for on tracks 9 and 12. You got Chris Chaney on bass, except for track 9. Slash is obviously on guitars. And other percussion is Leonard Castro on about half the tracks. Now, the vocalists on here are kind of who's who of kind of all over the place in music. And you'll understand as I go through this. First off, the first track is Ghost, with Ian Astbury of The Cure. I really love Ian Astbury. He has got one of the coolest voices. He's like Jim Morrison, but able to actually sing more. I love Jim Morrison's voice, but Jim Morrison was never exactly a skilled vocalist, we'll say. Ian Astbury, the way he just kind of can croon a little bit more. It was like Ian Astbury found that perfect spot between Jim Morrison and Glenn Danzig. That's how I like to look at it. And Ghost is this great killer opening. I really, really dig Slash's intro on this one. The really gets going in, and Ian just kind of gets into it and goes. It's a really, really groovy tune. Is it a huge standout? It's not like it's gonna ever come back as some monstrous lost track, but on this album, there really is no bad song. They're all. That's one of the. Okay. Because of the variety of vocalists and everything's on here, there really is no bad song. There really is nothing to say, okay, this is the bad point to start at, and we're going to work our way up from here. You got a bunch of songs that, at bare minimum, individually, if you're going to rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, we'll say, most of the songs clock in at solid 7s, with the few other ones that really get really good in there. Some people say that other ones definitely go a little lower, and I'll get into that as I go, but Ghost definitely is a solid 7, even possibly, a solid 8, because it's got everything you want. It's got great rock music with great vocals, From there, we go into Ozzy Osbourne doing vocals on the song Crucify the Dead. Alright. Ozzy is always great for doing Ozzy. Just like Alice is always great for doing Alice. Ozzy's always great for doing Ozzy. So if you want an Ozzy tune, if you want that great Ozzy Prince of Darkness, get Ozzy. And Crucify the Dead is a great Ozzy tune. It is. it's a song that Ozzy really should even think about pulling out on his own when he's playing live, as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's just a really, really good song. Such a good song, I believe, that, you know, all those years it took us to get the new Ordinary Man album, that was a song that was the one song we had to pacify ourselves and get us through with, as far as I'm concerned. After that, we go into, and I love the juxtaposition of this. You know, we go from Crucify the Dead, which, you know, is Ozzy, you know, you get it from the title. So really dark and whoa, you know, to Fergie, yes, Black Eyed Peas Fergie, Beautiful Dangerous. I think Fergie, I understand why she did pop. Her voice was wasted in pop. Oh my God, that woman has got pipes. Never liked the Black Eyed Peas, just not my thing. You know, like I hear a lot of it at work too, and I'm just, no, I'm just not a fan. But man, she can deliver some vocals, and she really does it on Beautiful Dangerous. Really changed my perspective of her as a vocalist. Had a lot more respect for her, honestly. And I really think that she limited herself by going in the pop route. I think she should have tried to put together a good, solid rock band, because she could have been, honestly, I think she could have been Hailstorm before there was a Hailstorm. I mean, that would have been right about the time Hailstorm was picking up, starting to get going, I believe. Because you're looking at this album being 2010. But Beautiful Dangerous, great song. I really dig it. Sexy, dirty sexy. The right type of dirty sexy. You know, it's like, I don't want to say, it doesn't have that dark, it doesn't have that sinister edge that Guns N' Roses has with their sexy, you know, where, you know, it's just dangerous, really dangerous. Beautiful Dangerous has more of that dark kind of psycho stalker kind of, but sexy at the same time, because that is a thing that does happen with rock stars, where they get really hot psycho stalker chicks coming after them, you know. Oh, to have those issues, right? All right. All jokes aside, great tune. From there, we go into the first song on here to feature Myles Kennedy. Myles Kennedy, who would eventually become the sole vocalist for Slash and the band. Because I know there's an official band that's put together eventually as well, too. I dig Myles Kennedy when he is singing everybody else's songs. Like, I picked up the live album that corresponds with this. And Myles Kennedy has to do everybody's songs on here. Plus, he does songs from Slash's Snakepit. Plus, he does some GNR stuff. He does a great assortment of stuff. And I think he even does a little, they do some Velvet Revolver too. And I think Myles does a great job when he sings all these other guys' stuff. And he doesn't sing it sounding like them. He still sounds like Myles Kennedy. But his delivery on them and the way he performs them, he sounds fantastic. When Myles Kennedy does his own songs, it drives me nuts. And not in a good way, you know. I don't know what it is about when he's singing his own stuff. He doesn't give it the same gravitas that he does when he's singing other people's stuff. He doesn't seem to... It's almost like he needs someone to blueprint out how he can perform it better for him first. I hate to say it, but that is kind of how it feels. Because Back from Cali is a good tune. It's a really good tune. It's, you know, really enjoyable. But I think Myles could have sang it better. I think Myles could have definitely done it better. And I think his delivery on it is what kind of throws me off on it, which is really sad, because when I hear him do every other song on here, I really enjoy when he sings it. It's such a weird thing with Myles Kennedy with me. It really is. From there, we go to Promise, which features the late Chris Cornell. I got a weird thing with Chris Cornell. I really like his vocals sometimes, and other times I don't. And I really like, for example, when he does the background vocals on the song Holy War, which he actually predominantly wrote and gave to Alice Cooper to use on the Last Temptation album. I really dig when he's doing stuff like that. I like when he was in Temple of the Dog on Hunger Strike, which is the only song I can really honestly say where he's a contributing vocalist, because he's not singing the whole way through. Because I don't like the way he kind of drones and whines. It's one of my biggest complaints about grunge, is they all kind of drone and whine when they're singing. Now with Promise, I don't find that so much, but with Chris Cornell, talented man, way talented, and his deciding to leave this planet early is a shame. And I think there was still more great music he could give us, and there was more he had to offer, but his vocals on this song don't do a whole hell of a lot for me, unfortunately. There we go into By the Sword, which features Andrew Stockdale of Wolfmother. There are very few on here that actually say someone from such and such band. And it's really interesting because I think the only ones they did it with are the ones where theoretically they'd be the least known of where they're from. Because I personally wouldn't know Andrew Stockdale's name. I own some Wolfmother, but I wouldn't know Andrew Stockdale's name for anything without it saying that on the back of this. Whereas I really dig the song By the Sword, which is what they're performing here. And I know my buddy Pat hates the way that Andrew Stockdale sings. We've had long conversations about this. So Pat, here's a moment where I'm going to totally give you your thing. He's not a fan of the vocals. He really doesn't like... I don't remember every part that he said he doesn't like about the vocals, but everything he said was 100% valid and honest. His vocals could turn a lot of people off for that reason. I personally like the effect they put on his vocals to help push it a little bit. It still has that kind of drone I bitch about with grunge, but it works better the way I find that Andrew Stockdale does it because of the effect that he puts on it and stuff like that. But By the Sword is also a cool video, so, since you're watching this on YouTube, throw the video on and take a watch. After that, we go into Gotten with Adam Levine. I believe that is Adam Levine of Maroon 5. Oh, they didn't put that on here. Maybe they didn't want Maroon 5 being on here. I don't know. Gotten's not a bad tune. It's a good bridge between songs. I don't really think of it much on its own. After that, we get to collaboration with the late, great Lemmy Kilmister. Oh, Lemmy. Man. So envious of Slash. Oh, so envious. The song Dr. Alibi. It is a really fun song. A really, really good song. Really grooving, really out there. I really dig this song. It sounds honestly very Motorheady too. And I really get into it. And I'm really surprised that Lemmy wasn't invited to play bass on this. I personally would have. But have Lemmy come in and throw down some vocals, that's freaking awesome too. And lyrically, is it a great song? No. It's a typical kind of Lemmy style lyric. All debauchery and drugs, sex, rock and roll. Have a good time, baby. Live your life up. Lemmy did it right till the bitter end, man. Right to the bitter end. And this song here, Dr. Alibi, really, that was... He told us. Then we get into the instrumental track of this album, Watch This, featuring Dave Grohl and Duff McKagan. Duff on bass, Dave on drums. I really dig it. I really dig this piece. I really, really get into this one. And listening to this one, I really would love to hear Duff and Dave and Slash work on an album together. I know we're all hopeful for that Guns N' Roses album. I'm not really, but we'll pretend we're all excited and hopeful for that new Guns N' Roses album to come out with the original lineup. But I really love watching musicians alternate around with each other. And Watch This Dave is a great, great example of why more musicians should collaborate and work on albums more often. Even if it's a one and done album, I don't care. Just to see what they can do, just make that one and done great album. After that, we get to I Hold On with Kid Rock. I'm not a huge fan of Kid Rock. I've never been a huge fan of Kid Rock. His voice is perfect for this song. It's definitely a Kid Rock kind of vibe, kind of sound. Honestly, I could see Kid Rock pulling it out on stage. He probably should pull it out on stage for himself. It's a good song. I think Miles Kennedy sings it better. Told you, I have a weird relationship with Miles Kennedy. Weird relationship. Then we go to Nothing to Say featuring M Shadows of Avengers Sevenfold. It sounds like an Avenged Sevenfold song. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that that it's a Slash song. It really sounds much more like an Avenged Sevenfold song than a Slash song to me. Now we're back to Miles Kennedy again with Starlight. This is his second and final song on this album. Once again, I just don't like Miles Kennedy songs. I love when he does other people's songs. It's not a bad song. No, it doesn't work for me the way it should or the way I would hope it would, I don't know why. I don't have a good reason for you. I'm sorry. Then we get into Saint is a Sinner Too with Roca DeLuca. I really dig Saint is a Sinner Too. And I'll be honest with you, look here, because I have no clue where Roca DeLuca's from. I'm going to screw up if I guess. And I really like Saint is a Sinner Too. It's really good. It's really cool. Not a song I would normally listen to on its own, but this is just a good solid track. I will say that just to stick that little extra knife in, I love how Miles Kennedy does it. And then we get to the last song on the album. The last song on the album is just a fun, humorous, enjoy yourself good time. We're All Gonna Die featuring Iggy Pop. Now, Iggy has got one of the coolest voices in rock and roll, man. He really does. And it's not like it's some great major standout kind of voice. It's not like, you can hear that voice anywhere. Oh, that's an Iggy! Not quite like that. Iggy's kind of like Alice, where he does do different voices, or he augments and fluctuates his voice on different songs. He performs and he delivers. And when you give him a song like We're All Gonna Die, he just gets out there. He goes madman. And honestly, I can picture Iggy Pop of old. Like we're talking Stooges Iggy Pop, okay? Out there being psychotic. And that's what this song is. To me, this is like Stooges Iggy Pop getting out there. The dumbass cutting himself up, rolling around on glass, except for, he's not cutting himself up. He's not doing that. Instead of talking about cutting himself up with glass, it's peeing on the ground and jumping around and stuff like that. It's just Iggy being Iggy and a psychotic friggin' wild child. And I love it. The whole way around, this is a great album. I would recommend this album to anybody. You should have it in your collection. If you're a Guns N' Roses fan, if you love Slash, you got to have this album. Better than Slash's Snakepit, which I've only listened to a handful of times. And I liked it better than the follow-up album. I think this is one of those albums that's going to kind of get overlooked and forgotten because there is so much other stuff out there that people really want from Slash. Not to say they don't want solo stuff, but if I've got a choice between Slash, Miles Kennedy, and the band, that band, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head, going out on tour, or if I got a choice between that or Guns N' Roses, I'm gonna go with Guns N' Roses. If Velvet Revolver got back together and say Miles Kennedy took over as the vocalist, which would not be a bad idea until they go to record new material. I think that would work really well as well. I'd still rather see that more than the solo stuff. But this is killer, man. Like, this has got some really great music on it. I think the problem is it's missing certain people it should have had. Like when I go to just watch this with David Duff, as I already mentioned, I think this album honestly may have benefited if Dave Grohl had been on the entire album. I think the bass may have benefited if Duff had been playing bass on the entire album. Not to say that the guys on the album don't do great jobs. It's just there's a certain flair and a certain passion those two kick up. And obviously Duff and Slash have natural chemistry. And when you get these guys working together, they can really produce some great stuff. I mean, that is how we got Velvet Revolver. Velvet Revolver started off as a couple guys from Buckcherry and a couple guys from Guns N' Roses getting together. And then it evolved from there. And that's why I really say it's like albums like this that we really do need. And more artists should really do them and really help push creating more great music out there. Anyways, those are my views. Let me know what you think. That's what the comment section is for. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Also, I'm going to do a quick little picture as well. Slash has played with a multitude of great musicians. You'll notice one musician that was not mentioned on here was Alice Cooper. There was an Alice Cooper track recorded. I'm glad the Alice Cooper track did not get on here. I've heard it. I wasn't a fan of it. The reason why I bring that up is if you're one of my regular viewers, you will know that I am currently running a poll on my Patreon account, link below. So you can go and vote on the next box set I am going to cover. I have already mentioned the Ozzy Osbourne Prince of Darkness box set when I did the Osmosis review. I've now mentioned the Pandora's Box Aerosmith box set when I did the Aerosmith Pump review. In this review, I have mentioned those two. I'm also going to mention the Alice Cooper Life and Crimes of Alice Cooper box set as I talk about this album. So, with that in closing, go vote for which box set you want me to review. Otherwise, folks, I do thank you for watching. Peace, love, and take care.